Thank you very much, everyone, for coming this Friday evening. There are so many other things that we have to do as busy people in our daily lives. But thank you so much for taking your time out to come and have a chat about pathways, because this is what the education system is all about. And what we have planned is that initially Steve will give an introduction about the rationale for the Pathways Champions team. And then I will give a quick presentation, mainly covering what has changed recently in Pathways. And then the last section, we can have a discussion about what your thoughts are, how Pathways is going for you, and how the Pathways champion can support you. So these are the three different sections that we'll have in this meeting today. So without further ado, I would like to invite our program quality director, Steve Campion, to the stage. Huge round of applause.
Thank you very much, Somesh. It's a joy to be here on a Friday night. It's a joy to be here at any time, but especially on a Friday night. We can all be having lots of fun, and we are here learning about pathways, connecting with each other, and learning the importance of everything that the team is doing. I'd like to particularly thank Somesh for leading the team and our wonderful team of Pathways champions who have volunteered their time, their expertise, their efforts to help our clubs and help our members to get the most out of Pathways. Somesh just said, I'll explain why this is such an important thing. The simple answer is because I've been looking at a number. The number I was looking at recently was the number 17. It was 17%. I looked at all the members who were members of Toastmasters District 71 at the beginning of July. And then I looked at all the ones that renewed their membership, who stayed in Toastmasters to learn, to grow, to contribute, to be part of our wonderful organization. 17% was the difference between those who were enrolled in Pathways and those who weren't. That 17% is the difference in the likelihood of someone staying as a member. Now, 17% might not sound like very much. Another way of putting it is that 680 people. 680 people who are joining Toastmasters, joining our clubs, experiencing what Toastmasters have to offer, but missing out on the very big part, which is the education program within Toastmasters. It's the equivalent of buying a ticket to Disney World and staying in the car park. Now, okay, I've spent time in Disneyland's and Disney World's car park. It's a fun place to be. There's lots of people enjoying themselves in the car park, but they are missing out. The car park is the entryway. Our club meetings, our club environments are the supporting environment for the education that people want, deserve, and need to get from Toastmasters. So that's 17%, or 680 people, is what made me really realize we need to help our clubs. We need to help our members to get the most out of Pathways, and particularly as the program keeps evolving, keeps growing, keeps developing, this becomes an ongoing need and not just a one-off thing. So that's the reason. Do we want to be sitting in the car park, or do we want to be enjoying the adventure that we can all have together? With that, I'm going to hand back to Somesh. Thank you, Somesh.
A round of applause for Steve. Thank you so much, Steve, for explaining it so succinctly and so nicely. And the metaphor that you're given is super as well, in terms of going to Disneyland and staying in the car park. What a great metaphor. Thank you so much for making us understand this so clearly with that metaphor. So what we are trying to do today here is we'll have a quick look at what this team is about, this Pathways Champions team in District 71. And also the important part here is working with all the clubs, vice president educations especially, trying to understand what their challenges are. And the Pathways Champions will be there to support them in terms of ensuring that they actually get into the Disneyland and enjoy the wonders of Disneyland. So I'll just start the presentation now, and then we can have a quick look at this presentation, and then we will have an open discussion just to understand how things are going for us and how Pathways Champions can help you. So we are going to discuss about D71, District 71 Pathways Champions. And this is the District 71 initiative to support our clubs in Pathways journey. And this initiative is started by our program quality director, Steve Campion, in terms of, as he gave us in the beginning, the rationale behind why we should have this focus on pathways through the medium of champions. And one thing that I have to set right in the beginning itself is that each and every one of us is pathways champion in whatever way we are helping other people. So this is just a kind of people to go to, but everyone is in a sense a person to go to, because everyone has got different levels of competence, and in that respect we all are champions. So that is a beginning thing that I wanted to talk about. And also, when we look at this, the 6 parts that are the main parts currently: dynamic leadership, engaging humor, motivational strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery, and visionary communication, right? So these 6 are the main parts that we have. And I'll come to later slides where we can have a quick look at the changes that have been introduced from October onwards this year. So why Pathways? Because that's the only show in the town. But when I say only show in the town, I probably am lying here. And you might say, why I'm lying? Because people could just go into a club meeting, keep giving the speeches, keep having good time with members, and they're happy. Everything is going on well for them. So why should someone actually take the pain of going to toastmasters.org and logging into toastmasters.org and then going to the base camp? The reason is because if you look at this slide here, I'll just use a laser pointer. Are you seeing the laser pointer there when I'm using it? Okay. So the reason is the amount of information that we get from logging into the base camp is amazing. The amount of effort that Toastmasters International have put into that material that's existing in Pathways is really mind-boggling. So people will be missing out on that information that is going to help us in what aspects? Public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. And then it actually mentions here, confidence is unique because it cannot be taught, but is gained in every path. And so the whole structure that Pathways is providing will unfortunately be missed if someone is just giving the speeches in the clubs, but not following all the structure that Toastmasters International has provided us. So that is what will be missed by everyone if they don't enroll in Pathways. And of course, we have these 6 parts that I mentioned in the beginning. And then we have the 5 legacy parts as well, which is not people who will come in now and join now. They will get only these 6 parts. They won't get the 5 legacy parts. But people who had joined earlier, they can continue in their legacy parts and still earn the credits for whatever projects they are doing. So that is a quick overview of the different parts, the different competencies, and why it is the only show in town or why it is not the only show in town, depending on the perspective of the members like us. Now, next, what I wanted to talk about was this, basically the team that we have as a Pathways Champions team. So we have kindly all the volunteers have agreed to be the champions for the different divisions. In most of these cases, the members are from that particular division, but in a couple of cases, members are from a different division. But the important thing here is that we all are Toastmasters members and District 71 members. And we all have one thing in mind: to provide every club member who joins new or who is there as a veteran member a great experience in terms of Pathways, understanding what Pathways is about. Of course, there are some challenges, technical challenges, and there are 2 ways. I'm just talking about a general philosophy now. there are two ways in which anything can be looked up in life. One is as something that we can influence and we can make it better. Or there is another way of looking at it by complaining about it, right? So in any field in our life, these two facets will always be there. So what is it that we want to take? Like, do we want to be uh, a person who who is always, you know, not looking into trying to improve things, or do you want to be a person who wants to influence things and make it better? We have to choose ourselves, and this champions team is basically here to help everyone to understand that even though there might be some challenges, when we are together we can overcome it. I think that's the thing. So these three things that I have, this is like a puzzle, right? So what Steve was mentioning about the 17% not enrolled in pathways, it's like a puzzle that we all together can solve. Like especially the vice president educations and the pathways champions team, we can come together and understand what is happening in each of the clubs. There might be some genuine reason someone has just recently joined, and there could be those cases. But we need to understand if there are cases where actually people who have been there for a number of months and they have still not enrolled in pathways. Now, then it's quite unfortunate, and we have to work with VP Education and try and understand what is going on and how we can help them. So that's the piece puzzle. The next part is discussion, because we need to discuss to solve this puzzle. And then at the end of the day, all this is work in progress. We'll always be a work in progress because every situation will be different. It's a huge organization, 9 divisions, thousands of members. And what I was mentioning to our team as well was we take one member at a time. Like we cannot do a, we cannot burn the ocean, so to speak, right? So, but just if one member gets a great pathways experience, that's a great achievement. And one by one, we can, create a kind of revolution in a sense, in terms of people taking up and understanding pathways and having a positive attitude towards pathways. I think that's extremely important. So this is our team here. Then the next thing that I wanted to talk about was our the updates that have come in recently, this October to 2025. This is an interesting update, and this is probably what lots of members were actually looking for from Toastmasters International, because I know there might be some people who have been in Toastmasters for a very long time and who were there before Pathways started. And they would probably remember that we used to have a competent leader, a book called Competent Leader. And there was a book called Competent Communicator. And then you had Advanced Communicator Bronze, Advanced Communicator Silver, Advanced Communicator Gold, Competent Leader, Advanced Leader Silver, Advanced Leader Bronze, Silver, and then you go to DTM. So all this structure was there before Pathways. And the competent leader part actually took view of these roles that people were doing. But in Pathways, somehow this got missed. No one was looking into what roles each and everyone was doing. So this is a good new introduction that Toastmasters International have brought. You wanted to say something, Janet?
No, I'm just actually just looking at the actual levels of, say, 1. That's the crucial foundation one. Is that right?
That's right. Yes. Yes. So
Right.
So level one is the level where every member starts in. So you got, so if you look at here before icebreaker, right? So the recommendation here is a new member who joins, before they do icebreaker, they try and speak in a table topics session. So that will give them a little bit of exposure to how to do a public speaking. So that's the recommendation here. Of course, one of the important things here is it's all recommendation. Toastmasters is a volunteer organization. No one is actually, verifying that you have done everything or not. So it's all based on members' own interest. And at the end of the day, we all want ourselves to develop. That it's in our own interest to do all these things and develop as an individual. Anything else, Janet? You had
no, thank you. That's clear. Thank you. That's
okay. Thanks.
brilliant.
So yeah, so for example, these 3 roles have been introduced in level 1, and then in level 4, these 4 roles people have to do, then the levels gets completed. Level 3 has these roles. Along with those roles, there are these different, and these are the things that existed in the previous advanced communicator bronze, advanced communicator silver. These manuals were there, and it's kind of a good introduction that Toastmasters have done in terms of bringing them back. And the clubs can actually benefit from this as well. For example, if one of the members is giving a speech on creating the best club climate, the club is going to benefit quite a lot from that, because they will try and understand what is involved in creating a good climate, and then they will come and present on it. So it's this is a wonderful thing about Toastmasters structure, that the people are developing, and at the same time, by using their skills, they are developing the club. So it's like a win-win for everyone. You're personally, you're winning, and you're making the whole community win as well in terms of their own goals. So it's kind of amazing how the structure is there for Toastmasters. So yeah. So then, if you go for level 4, you've got 4 roles, and then you have to go do 2 speeches from these different series, and then level 5, you have to do 2 speeches from these series, and then all these are the different topics that people can pick from those series. So in a way, there is a good, there is a little bit more for people to do, but it is good. We are, because we learn by doing things. So it's this is what Toastmasters is all about. Even all the projects that we are doing, we like level 4, level 5, some of level 3 as well. There are a lot of projects where people have to work as a team and deliver some results. So all this is practical work that we are doing, and that's quite amazing. Again, part of Toastmasters, that it's not like I've seen this many times. There are lots of members who come in, and they think that this is like an organization where someone is going to teach others. Because generally most of the organizations are set up in that way, that you have some trainers who will come and train you. But Toastmasters International is quite different in that sense, where everyone is a peer and everyone is learning from each other. So I think that's what this is happening here. So yeah, this is a very whistle stop kind of tour in terms of what's there, in terms of the updates that happened recently, and we can discuss in detail as well if you like later. And there are some frequently asked questions in terms of what are the changes. So for example, this gives a very high level description about what is changing, what we have discussed now. The third question here is, my path is currently in progress. Will I see new sections in my path? So what it is mentioned here is, it will be shown, but it is not considered for the approval of your level, right? So say for example, someone has completed level 1 already. They will not be needed. They won't be needed to do all these roles because they have already completed level 1, and you've got a tick mark beside the level 1 in the base camp. So you don't need to do it again. But if someone is not completed a particular level, they will need to do whatever is recommended here. So that is the important point here. What if I already completed level? The level will remain completed, that I've already discussed. I'm working in a legacy path that is no longer available. Will these updates be reflected in my path? No. Legacy paths will have the old, they won't be affected by all these new introductions. And legacy paths, if we remember, these are the legacy paths. The 5 legacy paths: effective coaching, innovative planning, leadership development, strategic relationships, and team collaboration. Those are the legacy paths. So we've got only 6 paths that are the main paths currently, that is supported by these changes that are happening. And then the next important thing, what we are going to do as the Pathways Champions team, the session that we are having today, this is the initial starting session that we planned. Monthly Pathways Support Hour. So it is last Friday of every month. That's what we said. But on December, because the last Friday will be 26th, we are going to do it on 19th. But generally, every other month, we will be planning to have this last Friday of every month, 1 hour, where members can come in and we discuss together and we provide any kind of support that is needed. And then the next important part is, as Pathways champions, we want to work with each and every interested club's vice president educations and presidents to so that we create a culture of pathways adoption and acceleration. And adoption is important because, again, what Steve said in the beginning, that 600 plus members who unfortunately are not benefiting from the pathway system. So, and then acceleration is that they continue to do everything using the pathway system, which is really important. So yeah, I think I'm kind of done now, and thank you very much for your time and your participation. But we can have some discussion, and we can actually have some walkthrough as well. What's the time now? It's 23. Yeah, we can, if you like, we can have a quick walkthrough of this base camp, and try and understand what is going on here. I might just share the screen. Here it is. You're seeing the screen now, is it?
I think so much DTM so much.
Yeah.
Is that a question from Obi? Is that his hand up?
Oh, Obi, yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, I was going to ask a question. Sorry, I came a little late, so I'm sure the question I'm going to ask has been answered. Are you saying that there is no tracking of this, and that Toastmaster just put this out and people are expected to follow in? Are we as club officers not supposed to track what the members are doing on this?
It's a good question, Obi. Absolutely, yes. The tracking and everything is needed. What I was mentioning was, because this is a voluntary organization, it's not like, for example, if you're doing a degree, right? If you go to a university, you're doing a degree. You have to do all the assignments. You have to pass in all the assignments. You have to pass the exam. Then you get the degree, right? So that is like a formal educational system. What I mentioned here is that this is an informal educational system. And that's why, there is no pass or fail as such, really. It's all people coming together and doing it in their best interest. But of course, I think all the things that we need to do as club officers, we should be doing. And see, another point I'm saying here is that, for example, someone has not done a particular role, but they actually say that they have done a role. So club officer might go and say that, you didn't do the role, I won't approve. And that's fine, that's okay. Another way of approaching this is working with the person and trying to understand, is that role making them quite inconvenient, and how we can help them so that they do that role. So it's like working with the members, bringing them along, influencing people. It's all about that. As we know, the current leadership culture is not command and control, right? That never works. Like it used to be in 50s and all. There was command and control leadership culture, but that's not. Now it is influencing, working with people, understanding what they want, and helping them to come out of their comfort zones. I think that's important. Sorry, Elizabeth, you had the hand raised.
I do. And first of all, I want to congratulate our PQD and you and the team for getting this together. I think it's going to be an absolutely excellent initiative. I'm for one, very excited. What I would say about the tracking is that there's several ways to do it. As you said, we have core values. It's an honor system. We can trust ourselves and do what we say. However, the other option one can pursue is to track, be accountable. Just have a simple spreadsheet or a simple piece of paper and track what you do. That's one way to do it. In some other districts around the world, the VPE is taking this on as an extra task, and he or she are tracking all the roles by the club members. I think this is an occasion for the ex-coms to discuss how they want to do this and discuss it with their members. But there's several ways you can do it, and those are just two of the very simple ways one can pursue them. I've started tracking everything I do, every role I do, every speech I do. I'm just tracking so that I can help the VP if necessary, and also for my own benefit. Thank you. Back to you, Somesh.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good point. Elaine, you have your hand raised. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Hello, hi. So I'm the VP in Castle Rock Toastmasters. I actually came here almost to ask the very same questions that you're just discussing around. I mean, obviously with pathways, the speeches are outlined. Speech projects are outlined within the pathways, and members have to go and tick through and tick all the buttons, which is actually quite time consuming, I would add, to kind of confirm they've done the speech. But I was confused also about the tracking of the new meeting roles and educational presentations. And I saw there, I mean, on the club officer guide that was issued, there's a mention about it said that the enhancements will be added as the first item in each level. But then elsewhere in the same guide, it says people can track it on their profile. And then I heard somebody else saying, oh, it is a voluntary thing. And it just happens the path I may have in progress is one of the legacy ones. So I'm not sure, am I missing something that I'm not seeing this? But I suppose the comment about having it added as the first item in every level, is that actually in place on the current paths? For say, tick off and say, I've done Toastmaster, I've done this, in respect of this particular level.
It's a good question, Elaine. So what Toastmasters International are saying is that you have to go to your base camp profile, and you can actually put in what roles you have done, when you have done, for what club you have done.
But
when you do that, the club officer will be able to see that you have done it. So that's the way of verification.
Oh, right, yeah. But I mean, when I went to the profile page, first of all, that's a completely different part on base camp. So just very difficult to get. I mean, it's difficult enough to get members to complete their speech projects on pathways. To get them to tick that off will be more difficult because it's a completely different location. And also, I think you can only tick each role once, whereas the way this is organized, you sometimes need to do the same role several times for the different levels. So in that case, we might be better to track it on a spreadsheet. But I'm just surprised. It's a little confusing when it actually says on the guide that it will be added as the first item in each level. And I saw it on your presentation there as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, so
on the levels also.
Yeah, Elaine, I think what I'll do is I'll actually share the screen.
Yes.
And then we'll directly go into the system and have a look. That's the best way to understand. Because if we talk,
Julian has a question as well, but after you, PQD.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to. I know Julian's got a question or a comment, but I just want to add, Elaine, specifically to your question about the new paths and the legacy paths. I'm someone who's doing both. So in the new paths, I do see these new requirements as a first item. And I'm sure Somesh will show that.
That's right.
In the legacy paths, as World Headquarters have said, they're not updating those. So you don't see the requirements in there.
That's the problem. I'm on a legacy path.
So I can understand the confusion.
Yeah.
What I would say though, Elaine, is there's absolutely no reason why you cannot do those things. It's just the system's not going to require it as an expectation for completion.
That's fine. I'm preparing a presentation for our club next week, so I want to grab a screenshot, then tell them what they should be looking for. Thank you.
I think Somesh and team will be delighted to give you screenshots.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think I might just share the screen so that you can have a look. It's always good to directly go into the system and try and understand what things are. So, for example, I have this engaging humor which is going on, and I've done like this is actually not a legacy path. This is a path that is the main path, right? So even though I have completed level 1, I have these things that are coming up, right? And it does not mean that I have to actually do this. It just came up because it is part of the main one. But the fact that I have this tick here means that my level is complete. So I think sometimes people are getting confused with this. They're thinking that because this is coming, I have to complete this, even though I have completed the level before October 2025 when this was introduced, right? So it says that there is a checklist here, but it's not that one has to actually, like, if one has already completed level 1, one does not have to do that. That's one thing. And then the other thing is about, I think we were talking about the profile, right? So this is the profile here. This is the profile from the perspective of So there are two profiles. This is another thing. People can get confused here. The one profile is when I actually log into Toastmasters International in my home. So here I have my profile. So we should not do it. There is nothing in this profile. What is in the profile is when we go into the base camp. In that profile, we will actually see, right? We will see this profile, right? This is a profile for Pathways Learning Management System, as they call it, LMS. And here I can this is the thing, you can I can say what role I have done, and this is a thing that will actually be verified. Like when the club officer has to verify the level completion, they will be able to see that you have updated this in your profile. So they have got that connection established there. So that's how it will work. I hope it's a bit clear now.
Incoming call from Francis Keenan identified by Truecaller.
Okay, so
yes, that's helpful. Thank you, Sumesh.
Yeah. Sorry, Julian, you have a question, is it? You're on mute.
As the call went out, he's on mute. I do beg your pardon. I was sitting there patiently because there were several points you made, and I wanted to dive in, but didn't get the time. You've sort of covered them now, but I think there's probably more emphasis needed on the point about path completions and not having to go back and do the additional enhancements for those paths complete, because that's a little piece of information that was put out there that wasn't qualified by the system, although the system shows that the enhancements are still open at the previous levels you've completed. You don't have to tick those off. I spent ages and ages trying to fathom out what I'd got to go back and do, and I've got this contradiction. It says your path is done, well done, but I've still got all these things open. Did I have to go back and just check them off? Could I ignore them? Had there been a piece of information, a paragraph long, I wouldn't have spent about an hour trying to figure that out. And even now, until you've said it for certain, not one person in the organisation has said those exact words. So
Okay.
I sort of figured it, but this idea of helping each other is great. But I still feel there was some information missing around the detail, which was done in rather a hurry, I have to say. That piece of information would have been really useful when the thing was put out in the first place. But you've covered it now anyway.
That's great. Thanks, Julian. Thanks for the comment. Yeah. And this is the thing about all these discussions that we will have together, because we will learn from each other. Like you, Julian, might know something that I don't know, and I would know something that you don't know, and we learn from each other. I think that's the important thing here. Yeah.
But Sumesh, can I just say, so we still haven't finished that. So who is going to now communicate with the clubs that very point that don't worry that it's still open in your finished paths, or sorry, your finished levels, you can ignore that. That's a very simple communication that would help an awful lot of people right now.
Yeah, and it is there. Like if you look at, I'll just share the screen just a moment again. Where is this? The education fact. Do you see the screen? Is it?
Yep, indeed.
This particular link contains the frequently asked questions, right? So, for example, your question was, for example, my path is currently in progress. Will I see?
Yep.
Yes, if you're working in the path, the main paths, you will see that.
Yep.
What if I already completed a level in my path?
Yep.
Again, this is related to what you said. If you have completed a level, that level will remain completed. So basically, the checklist is being shown to me, right? When I showed that screen.
Yep.
But it's just a checklist there. It's not. I've already got a tick mark beside my level 1. That means it's complete. In the system, it is complete. So there's no problem.
So, but you now know that. I found it out just by, but that piece of information is actually quite important to be somewhere in that frequently asked question.
Agree, Julian. Yeah,
that piece of information is only held by a certain number of people at this point in time.
Yes, and it's up to us who know to inform others as well, whoever have this query. Yeah.
And that's probably
Therese, please go ahead, and then I think Paul as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So far with pathways, once you do the first level and you move on to the next levels, we could do projects jumping from one level to the other as we go on. Say I'm doing one, I could do one in level 1, then as I work and I find that there's an opportunity to do a level 4 project, I do it because I've already completed my first and I can move around as I like. Whereas the levels are recorded as completed as I go on and complete all the various tasks. Is it the same in this case? And if so, how do we handle the roles? Because if we can skip from one project to another in the various levels, then can I also take the roles that I'm doing as being done in the various levels?
Yes, yes. I think people can do it in the way that suits them, but then they have to keep a record of that because the system will go only level 1 complete, level 2 complete, level 3 complete, right? But people will need to keep record of their own progress somehow. They can do it whatever they want,
Okay.
but then they will need to keep a track, because the track you cannot do from the system's perspective. You cannot start level 2 unless you complete level 1. So that's where we have to keep track of it ourselves.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Paul, please go ahead. Yeah.
Just two things, just in relation to the point that you were making, you and Teresa were talking about. The system, in other words, the Pathways software will record for you when you have completed a project at the project level. Now, this means that if you start off on level 1 and you do a project in level 2 and a project in level 3, etc., you do, but you never complete, but after several months you haven't yet completed a level, the system has a record of each of the projects that you have completed, and the Vice President of Education can see which project you have completed. Which project you have completed. Now, you do need to go into Pathways, or a member needs to go into Pathways and actually do what is needed in order to achieve the result, said, congratulations, you have completed this project. But that's a very useful thing for a Vice President of Education. You can actually see immediately what projects every individual member of your club has completed fully. In other words, has performed all of the different steps. And that's also a way of looking into, some people use EasySpeak, for example. I found this the other day. Somebody who on EasySpeak has achieved levels 1, 2, 3, and 4 based on all of their markdown. When I looked at what was recorded, they had only recorded one project at level 1. Now, it's a pain in the neck for the VPE and for the individual to have to go back. Well, the VPE can, I'll tell you a secret here, not that I have been known to be asked by a member who has given me their login details into Pathways. I have been asked by a member in order to go through all of the processes in order to enable them to complete a level officially. Now, if we can reach a point where nobody wants anybody to do that for them over the next 3 years, we will have done darn well, I think. I see Steve Campion smiling. So that's an important thing. That's a really important thing. By the way, if you do go in as base camp manager into the various places, I won't even try to tell you exactly where it is right now, but do be ready for the fact that in order to call up all the information about which projects an individual has completed, go and have a cup of tea and come back in 10 minutes time. That is the slowest loading part of the entire, Owen understands what I mean, I think. It is the slowest loading part. I thought that it wasn't working properly. And it was such a delight to discover. I know what every individual has officially got. And then Pathways, well, that's a different system altogether. But that's just one little thing. So if I could give us one more tiny distinction, it's worth bearing in mind. People use the word completed sometimes when they really mean the word awarded. There are two words. An individual marks themselves as having completed a level. That is not credited to them until that is verified and awarded by another person. And that distinction between completing something, which is what an individual does, and awarding something, which is what a club officer does, is very important. And it's worth bearing it in mind, because sometimes people complete their part of educational progress and they don't tell the VPE that they have completed it. The poor old VPE has no idea, and if the VPE misses the email that has been sent to them by Toastmasters International, they may do nothing. So a phone call to your VPE or email or whatever to say, hey, I've just completed, please award it, please verify an award, and do that at the same time. Don't hang around and hope for this, because not all VPEs read all their emails or even look and find their emails everywhere. And some of them have the cheek of going on holidays, and some club secretaries don't look at their emails. And I could carry on. Forgive me, this isn't a comedy session. But look.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you. Just a point I wanted to, very humble suggestion I want to make here, that all the clubs should try and use Toastmasters.org as a basic way of recording the progress. Like, we have different systems. We have Easy Speak, and we have the other, it's called Free Toast Host. There's another system that volunteers of Toastmasters International have developed. It helps us a great lot in terms of creating the agenda and printing the agenda, making it great. All those is very good. But somehow or other, when new member comes in, we make they become a little bit, it becomes complicated for them to understand what is going on. So my humble request is, let's start and help them understand what Toastmasters.org is. Like, there is a thing called Basecamp. Let them understand that very clearly, and then they can understand about Easy Speak and Free Toast Host and everything else. Because sometimes this main message gets lost. We just get involved in those tools that were made by volunteers, which is really helpful. Like, it's great tools, but I think we have to use Toastmasters.org, Pathways, Basecamp as a central way of recording things. So yeah. Sorry, Sue, please go ahead.
Thank you, Samesh, and thank you for the discussion so far. And I'm sure there's going to be lots of areas where we can improve. So there's one question that I think we should all be asking ourselves is, how can I'll let you fill in the blanks, because we need to know how I can help my I am a Vice President of Education, not for the first time this year. So I'm asking myself is, how can I support my members? How can I help them to make progress? And do you know what? so far, I think all but one of our newest members has signed up for a pathway. That's a win. So if we can celebrate our wins, however big or small, this helps us to create some momentum. So let's kind of like look at it from that perspective. And if we have a growth mindset, we can help each other to grow one tiny step at a time. Because I just celebrate when our members do something, when they do something on Pathways as well. So I hope that it starts to become infectious as more people take those tiny actions, because those tiny actions lead to incremental changes over time, but then it becomes a much bigger compounded change. That's how we got from a kettle, from a pot of boiling water, to now a supersonic kettle you haven't got to plug in by those tiny little steps. It's still the same device, but we took the action. So ask yourself, how can I help my members more?
Good
Anyway,
point,
back
Sue.
to
Thank
you,
you. Thanks
Sumesh.
for sharing, Sue. It's a great point. And this is what I was mentioning as well, one member at a time. And if one member benefits even a small bit, that's a great benefit. We cannot boil the ocean, as they say. So yeah, absolutely. Please go ahead, yeah, Justin.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to see a few people on this call for Friday evening. I obviously missed the early part of this meeting, so apologies for joining late. I found that when I started my Pathways journey, I was a little bit reluctant because I had completed out my Advanced Toastmasters awards. However, what I realized was that I needed to be organized. I needed to take a note of all the speeches that I've done, and I needed to ensure that I put those in the system as soon as it happened, which would be on the night after I've given the speech or soon after that point, maybe the next day. And one of the things I was inspired by was the Vice President of Education, I'll keep that person's name anonymous, had asked the members in terms of how we are to work together. What are the expectations? Okay, and the expectations was that please, whenever you're doing a speech, unless it's an exception, please ensure that you give the Vice President of Education and the evaluator the details of your pathway speech. And when that was never given, when we found that a member was on the agenda, there was no details about the pathways assignment that they were doing, the Vice President of Education would take it upon themselves to ensure that that wouldn't happen again with that particular speaker. So you can only take one step at a time. You can't solve everything, but you take one step at a time, which is to say, can we have an agreement in terms of how we want this club's education program to be delivered at our meetings? Can we ensure that our members, whenever they have a speaking slot, to ensure that they provide the pathways details and that the evaluator is given those details in advance? And the other thing I find very useful is that I belong to Dublin Toastmasters as well. I belong to two clubs, and it's the evaluator that introduces the speaker, not the Toastmaster. And what that ensures is that there's a handshake. Okay, the evaluator doesn't want to get up at the meeting to say, well, actually, I don't know what that speaker is doing, what their speech is. It sort of enforces the sort of discipline that's needed. One is that the speaker's prepared and the evaluator is prepared. So I think that with the additional roles and education programs that they need to provide, it doesn't change anything. It's just that the members need to be organized and need to ensure that they record everything that they do. And it just becomes a discipline and becomes a way of working. So one of the messages I would encourage the club committee to be aware of is to have that conversation with their members to say, this is how we want to work. This is what we want our members to do. This is what we will do to support you. And if we find that there are little gaps in between what happens, reinforce that, follow up, close that out. I do admit there's a bit of an overhead in terms of managing that, but if if the members do their bit, it makes everything else fall into place. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Justin. Yeah, great points. I can share, like when I joined 11 years back, November, end of November, something like that, in 2014, the thing that I was most impressed in Toastmasters was the structure, the whole structure of the Toastmasters meeting. And that structure really is the whole foundation, the backbone of Toastmasters. And Pathways is also a way of creating that structure, where we have all these different projects in a level, and it's all, you got the purpose, you got the objectives, and you're all working towards those purpose and objectives. So Justin, absolutely 100% agree with you. Like, I think those are, and in my club as well, we do the same thing. The evaluator would actually come and say, what are the objectives of the speech of the speaker? And then the speaker will come and deliver the speech. Again, when the evaluator is evaluating the speech, it will be based on the objectives, the Pathways project objectives that the speech was given on. So it's all that structure, that structure creates a kind of very nice, organized way of doing things. And that's the beauty of Toastmasters, really. Yeah. Thank you, Justin. Owen, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, thank you so much. Problem that occurs is that members will choose a pathway and then quite often will abandon that area and then pick from the drop down in Easy Speak a speech, and it gives the pathway 3.1 or whatever speech on this and that, and then they'll just go and do it, tell their evaluator, this is what I'm doing, it's on that pathway, I'd like you to look out for XYZ, and give the speech. The evaluator comes up, introduces them in my club, tells the audience this is who's speaking, this is the topic, what pathway is and what they've asked for. They're not using the evaluation forms. They haven't registered anything in pathways, and they're just going off what's on Easy Speak. I think there's a real disconnect that at some point must be addressed, because it's a bloody nightmare, excuse the language, and people will ignore one or the other. And the one to ignore, unfortunately, is Pathways. You go into Easy Speak because that's where you book your speeches. Now, if there is some way that you can only book a speech once you have been through the preparation, press a button in Pathways, that then opens up your ability to book a speech in Easy Speak. That surely must be the next thing that we do here. That having been said, rant over, and picking up on Sue's comment regarding celebration, in the meantime, within each meeting, we give out ribbons for best speaker, best humor, icebreaker, and what have you. Would it be something to introduce to have a new ribbon for people who have successfully, prior to their speech, done the right thing in Pathways, and get them up and say, here you go, here's a Pathways ribbon, you've actually done it. And people go, oh, I like getting ribbons. I like being standing up there and shaking hands and getting my photo and it being on social media. It's not just about giving speeches. It's about getting ready and being organized and doing the right thing and supporting the organization and supporting your club. Maybe in the interim, that's something that I could introduce in my club. And I don't know if other people on here or even not on here have that same experience of people running down that easy route and then having to do a catch up and go, flipping heck, I've got 6 months worth of stuff. I've got to pile into Pathways just before deadline so that my club can get its points, which is a mess. And that absolutely happens. People do all their speeches, probably do too many, because you don't need to do every single thing to get through the pathway, but they'll end up doing more, taking forever, causing a logjam at the end. I don't know
So,
if that's a fair thing to say.
yeah, it's a great point, Owen. And I would actually take the comment that you made about easy speak, and there is free toast host as well, by the way. Some of the clubs use that as well as a system of recording and agenda creation system and all those things. I'm now when you say this, I'm just thinking that I should probably give this suggestion to Toastmasters International, that Toastmasters International should take care of agenda creation as well, so that it becomes one-stop shop for the whole thing, right? And I'm going to give this recommendation, like if they like, maybe they should try and work with their LMS provider and give this feature. Then you're not going to different tools to create the agenda, and then you go back, you forget about the actual Toastmasters.org. And that is a huge disconnect. I agree with you, Owen, and that does happen. And the second point that you made, once the level is completed, as Paul was mentioning, there is a completion, and then you say that I have completed. There is a notification that goes to the club officer, the VP Education President and Secretary, and they can approve it.
Yeah.
Then you get a certificate. So one of the things that club can do is, you can actually share that certificate in public, and you can say that, this person has completed the level in the system, and here is a certificate that I'm publicly giving in front of all the members. So we're kind of promoting that use of the actual system, the pathway system.
Okay, so I've just today approved for someone to go through level 2 on one of their pathways. So I could print out the certificate and at the next meeting present it to them.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And that's a great way of acknowledging
Yeah, I like that.
pathway system as well, And
Unfortunately,
it's
he's away for a month now, but that's no
yeah.
problem.
And this certificate has got a sign from the Toastmasters International President and the CEO. It's a super certificate, like in that sense. I think we are just 1 minute to 9. Maybe in the interest of time, yeah. Sorry, Paul, please go ahead. Yeah, then we can close it.
Oh no, I give way to Finn.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Paul. Just a point, really. It's an observation more than anything else. I've only been in Toastmasters about 3 years, but I sort of wonder whether we're missing a bit of a trick here, because I've stumbled my way along with Easy Speak and Pathways. So I haven't really had any mentoring or initial sort of onboarding when I joined Toastmasters. And it crossed my mind recently that there's many people that work in the dark but don't tell anybody that they're in the dark. And it gets very frustrating quite quickly if you don't know really what you're doing and where you're going, and you don't have any of that sort of initial guiding. So it got me to thinking about, is there such a thing as a detailed onboarding criteria where every single member that joins Toastmasters, irrespective of whether it's in person or online, gets almost like a series of steps and criteria that they need to be aware of and be able to find and understand what they mean? Because I think that would nip a lot of problems in the bud quite quickly. But also, it means that we're being consistent. And my concern is around the world probably is that there's probably a great deal of inconsistency going on. So just the thought really about maybe some form of onboarding that is consistent.
Yeah, so thank you, Finn. It's a great point. And what I do personally is I provide this link to the new members. Welcome new members. It's a Toastmasters.org membership. Welcome new members. You got a direct message from Toastmasters International President for the new members. You're welcome to Toastmasters International. You've got few small steps that you can do to get yourself registered. I can actually share it, because it might be good for us to just have a look together. If it doesn't take too much of our time, because we are 1 past now the hour. See here, it's so beautiful. Like, just give this, and just let people do this. Talk about easy speak and everything else later. That's fine. People need to know that. But if you can just 5 quick steps, beautiful, nothing else. And go hear from the Toastmasters International President. This is a new president, and yeah, I generally just say that, just try and follow this and then get onboarded. make it simple, as simple as possible for people to. Our challenge is, as we have discussed now, this easy speak and all those things come in, and then people get confused. What is the actual system to look into? But as people who know about this system, we should always help them understand that Toastmasters.org is the actual official system. All other systems are supporting systems, but Toastmasters.org is the official system. So yeah. I think it's 3 past, and we said it's an hour. So maybe if it's okay, we can kind of close the meeting, if that's fine. I think it's a great discussion. And it's kind of amazing that we have so much enthusiasm on a Friday night for talking about pathways. It's kind of amazing that way. So we are all very enthusiastic Toastmasters International members. So huge round of applause, I think, to all of us here for being here, taking time out of our busy schedule. So many things we have to do, hundreds of other things, but we come here and we try and discuss about pathways. And the last thing that I would say is, let's make it as simple as possible for everyone, because no one likes complications, and if it's complicated, no one will want to do anything as well, really. So okay, Steve, would you like to end with last words? I think that'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am indeed also very conscious of time, but I would like to thank you, Somesh, and to the entire Pathways Champions team for volunteering to help. I think, Finn, as you beautifully said, people are in the dark and you don't know you're in the dark. We've got so many members who don't know what's expected, so many members who don't know the support that's available. And this is what this team is seeking to do. And I'm seeing already they're having a great impact just from the fact so many people are here. I've just shared in the chat, and we will do this in some follow-up materials as well, a link to the Pathways Champions page on the District 71 website. All of the resources that Somesh has already been talking about and the team's already been talking about are listed on that page, including a whole bunch of other resources that are particularly useful, onboarding videos, question and answers, all the FAQs, and in fact, Somesh, it now even has the new member welcome on it. So please do take a look at that and take up Somesh and the team's offer. Reach out, ask questions, get involved, because the more that the team can help you, the more that you can help your club members, the more vibrant all of our clubs become, and ultimately, the more benefit everyone gets from Toastmasters. So I don't want anyone lingering about in that car park anymore. We all need to have the fun and adventure that Toastmasters can bring. Thank you, Somesh, and thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks a lot. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Good night.